Welcome back, my name is LastKnownMeal and today we're going to review Greedfall, the latest RPG from Spiders, the makers of Technomancer and Bound by Flame. This project is their biggest one yet, and they spent years working on this to finally deliver something worthy in the genre of video games. And judging from everything I've seen so far, Greedfall is a well-crafted RPG inspired with elements from Dragon Age, The Witcher, Gothic, Dark Souls and more. Even with this, the game manages to create its own identity, and it is safe to say that this is indeed their best game yet, even with some flaws that I will talk about in the later video. The game is set in the 17th century imaginary fantasy world filled with Baroque-style architecture and landscapes inspired by various expressionist artists from our rich cultural history. The game takes place on an island called Tir Fradi that has been discovered recently, and besides having unseen nature and scary beasts and animals, the island is also the home of Yacht Fradi, the natives of the island that became one with the nature. So now the coming of steel and fire from the mainland city port called Old Serene, plagued by a deadly disease, the Malichor, means that things are going to change. And you have the power through the elements of RPG to stop the upcoming war and cure the Malichor or help a certain faction win for your own cause. In that sense, the game really gives you different ways of finishing things that remind me a lot of Gothic 1 and 2, how by listening to what people have to say using charisma or intuition, you can find new ways to solve something without losing the reputation with factions. The game has 6 factions, like the Congregation of Merchants, the Bridge Alliance, the Coin Guard, Theleme, the Nauts, and the Natives. I won't go into detail here, those lore videos are coming soon, but you will have to work with factions to see which benefits you the most. Accompanying you are +2 party members or people you meet as you play throughout the game. You can assign them at camps and bond with them by finishing their stories and solving the things they ask you. But they can also turn against you if they found out that you are causing harm to their factions, so be on a lookout. The game gives you the freedom to have the worst or best possible ending. Now, as you start the game, you can choose from 4 difficulties, from easy to very hard. The gameplay you're watching is on hard difficulty. After creating your character, you continue into the world. The main intro lasts about 2 hours if you finish everything and serves as an introduction into the game. The character creation is okay, but it could use a bit more options. One problem I have with the main character is that the voice actor is a bit bland, and you don't really stand out with something.
I should have gone with him, but my heart wasn't in the mood for celebration. The thought of bidding my mother farewell.
It is never easy to say goodbye, but you should be going to see her now. She must be waiting for you.
I always mention Mass Effect and how the voice actor of Shepard, both male and female, were amazing, and no matter which character you create, through their acting work they can deliver amazing lines. But also keep in mind that the Spiders didn't have the budget they had, and with around 40 developers, they managed to release something worthy of its name. Even though they are not an indie studio, they still count in for a small company. But sometimes numbers are not important, it's the passion to create something, and this is something I see in Greedfall. It has a soul, and that is what glues me to the screen most of the time. Now, companions are interesting, they can become lovable characters, but again, nothing yet stands out to the point I will remember them, but it's not a huge negative thing and they have some funny moments I really enjoyed. The map is not completely open world, you have different sections when you arrive on Tir Fradi. Some areas are locked and you travel from one to another using a map. You basically arrive either at a carriage or you just enter the part of the map and it's going to open up the entire map. You can basically select where to go next. The world is nicely done and I love the color palette of the game. In that same world you can find nature and cities, in which both you have quests to discover and stories to solve. The nature is filled with enemies and resources for you to pick and later use on the workbench, either to create swords and clothing, as well as to craft potions, poisons, traps and various other quest related things that unlock new ways to finish it. Now let's talk about classes and abilities. When you create your character, the game has 3 main classes, being magic that focuses on, well, magic and long range spells, then technical, which focuses on battlefield control. Keep in mind you can freeze the game always during combat and assess assess the situation. As technical, you use tools, and science like traps, firearms, and blades. And we have the warrior class, which focuses on either heavy weapons or one-handed blades. With this, you deal a lot of frontal damage to the enemy and serve as a tank sometimes. Then let's talk about talents you also have to work on as you develop your character. You have charisma, science, vigor, lockpicking, intuition that can serve you well in your quests and offer new ways of finishing a mission. Then let's see the attributes like the strength, endurance, agility, accuracy, mental power, and willpower that you can later upgrade and connect the dots for a perfect character. You earn those points by finishing quests and killing enemies. Now let's focus on the combat of Greedfall. It is certainly interesting and reminds me of Dragon Age mixed with Dark Souls, but the camera gives you an overview of the situation, even though a number of times it caused me problems of being too slow or going out of place, which got me killed. Also, fighting enemies with every weapon is fun, but also guarding yourself and parrying gives you a bonus attack or disables the enemy. Mid-combat, you can place traps or shoot them from your pistol. The possibilities are huge, and you have to think about each enemy and where to focus fire. Your companions can fight, but are sometimes useless against stronger enemies. They serve good as tanks, but besides that, they can be useful from time to time, and having them is always recommended. Fighting animations are good, sometimes it can be a problem to move, but you unlock things like roll that helps you in combat as you level up. Also, enemies have shields, so your attacks need to be thought out before execution so it doesn't kill you, and they can hit really hard sometimes, especially on higher difficulty. Now, the game revolves a lot around quests and solving stuff through diplomacy. There are many people to interact with, and sometimes their dialogue is either too boring or too long, but generally I've met a lot of interesting people to work for, and the quests are fun, but a lot of times they are a bit straightforward. The writing is decent, and again, there are some really nice moments in the game, but you can see that it's a AA title, meaning it doesn't have a budget, but from everything I've seen, they managed to create something really good. And the lack of things is replaced by a lot of cool moments and, things to explore and see. When it comes to bugs and glitches, there are some. Also, subtitles are sometimes wrong, but that is easily fixed in the upcoming patch. I had one crash only, and the FPS was stable throughout the game, running on highest settings. The engine is good, and in my case I didn't have problems, but consult on Reddit or some forums before you actually buy it for your specification. I know some people had issues. There were not any game-breaking bugs so far for me, but remember to save, because saving is a key. The autosave is not constant, and always try to be tactical with your saves as you go through missions and the story. Generally, the game is good, it has flaws, but overall an enjoyable experience that I want to see develop in the future, but with fixing of past mistakes. We shall see about that one, though, if they actually continue to work on this specific franchise. The game costs €50, dollars, or your region equivalent. Would I recommend this game for casual and hardcore RPG fans? Yes, why not? With a budget, they created something more entertaining than huge studios with tens of millions in their pockets. If you're not sure about certain elements, I recommend waiting for the sale, but I wouldn't miss on this game. Maybe during the holidays, who knows? Would I give $50 for this? I would, but I'm someone who likes this kind of formula, and I was craving for a new RPG. It takes about 15 to 20 hours for the main story and about 30 to 40 hours of finishing everything, although it can go for a bit more if you want to explore everything and read from the vast codex and lore they prepared. But if you actually want a good ending, I also recommend doing side missions because they're also important for the main one. There are no fetch quests as of yet. I didn't see them. Usually every single quest is connected with the main story, and it actually gives you a reputation with different factions, as well as it can damage that reputation in the same time. The current Steam score is 7 out of 10. I would probably give it a good 7+ out of 10, now maybe an 8. Considering that this is not a huge budget project and still manages to create such a boom in the community. But yeah, that is everything for this review. Don't forget to tell me down below in the comments what you think about this, and also smash that subscribe button for more Greedfall videos that I will make in the future. And visit our amazing community over at Twitter or Discord. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.